What is happening, boys? It's YaroWins, and I'm back with another formation and tactics guide video. Now, in this one, I'm going to bring you a 4-2-3-1, very effective, a very OP meta counter-attacking formation and instructions and tactics guide. And essentially, this particular formation helped me out a lot last week. It's very effective, and I do warn you that it is somewhat negative, and it will involve obviously a lot of defending, and you're going to have to play quite deep. But if you do want to win, and especially now with the final sort of Ultimate Team of the Season rewards and packs for next week, I do suggest giving it a try and just seeing if it works for you. So, getting straight into it, in terms of the defensive style, as I've mentioned, because it is a counter-attacking formation, you don't want to be caught in behind. You don't want to be leaving any spaces that are not necessary in behind your defense, and you want to play quite a deep line. So with that being said, for the defensive style, you will have to go on drop back. Now, although it may not be fun sometimes to really soak up that pressure, it is effective, and in the sort of ultra competitive world of FUT Champions, sometimes you will have to take less risks if you want to get more wins. So yeah, that's why we're doing drop back. Now, in terms of the defensive width, we're going to go slightly above balance here, because I'm sure many of you have experienced really the OP effectiveness of through balls down the wing. Now the issue is, if you are too narrow with the defensive width, you're going to keep getting caught on those wings with those overpowered through balls. So you do want to basically not be too wide to not leave too many spaces in the middle, but you do really want your fullbacks especially to stay quite wide to cover those channels and prevent players exploiting that space and running in on those wings, because obviously I'm sure you guys know how effective the running down the wing, getting to the edge of the box, or getting into the box and then doing like a driven pass or low cross for the tap in. It's one of the most conceded type of goal for me anyway in FUT Champions. So this width has sort of helped me to defend against that as well as possible. Now for the width, for the depth I should say, we aren't going to go too negative, so we're going to leave it on balanced, so 5 bars. Now I've tried a more negative approach, so less bars, but I have found that it wasn't very effective against the better players, because as I've said in previous videos, you never really want to invite too much pressure, especially against skilled players, because although you may be good at defending, you really don't want to be giving the opponent the time and the space and the opportunity to essentially find those little spaces, continuously pass, because more often than not you will get dragged out of position at some point, and the more negative approach you take and the deeper you are, the more players that the opponent can essentially afford to push forward. So if you're very deep, you may notice that the opponent starts attacking with his fullbacks and you just get overloaded and you will inevitably concede. So we're going to leave the depth at a balanced 5. Now for the offensive style, because this is a counter-attacking formation, I have chosen long ball. Now again, this will depend obviously on what players you have at your disposal, but the long ball tactic I believe is very effective, because it basically triggers your attackers to make those runs in behind for quick breakaways, and if you do through balls, I found it is a very effective style. Although you can use fast build up when you want to go even more aggressive, when you want to chase games or chase goals, but obviously the trade-off with that is, although it is a bit of a faster build up as the name suggests, it does also leave you susceptible on the counter-attack from your own counter-attacks. So I think long ball is the more balanced choice here. Now The width I've left really the same as the defensive style, so slightly above balanced. Again, this really depends on how you enjoy attacking, but personally I play a 4-2-3-1 like this with wide cams, so you do really want to have some sort of width because that will stretch the opponent, and you will also have those opportunities to essentially attack from the wings, get those low crosses in, get those tap-ins, those cutbacks, which are very effective. Now, players in the box, we're going to go slightly less on this, so 5 players, or 5 bars I should say. Again, because we're not really going overly offensive in this whole style and we're counter-attacking, we don't want too many players going forward, because a key component of this formation is, or I would say the main component of it is the defensive solidity. So you're going to concede far less goals, but although you obviously need the attacking threat, you don't want to completely overload your opponent and continuously push forward and essentially leave spaces in behind. You don't really want to get into these high scoring games where you're winning 5-4 or I don't know 6-5 or 4-3 or whatever. In FUT Champions, especially in these really sweaty weeks where you really need wins, you do have to go a bit more conservative, and it's really about quality over quantity, I believe, in this aspect of it. So yeah, I believe that 5 players is sufficient. Again, if you are chasing games, you can push it up, but I believe that 5 is the optimal to start off with. Now, for corners and free kicks, again, this isn't particularly important. This is very an individual approach for any of you guys, depending on how well you utilize set pieces. So again, I'm not going to give you too much guidance on that. That's completely up to you. And let's get into the actual instructions. Now, as you may have seen from my starting lineup, I obviously switched things around. So Mbappe is my main striker. Then Modric goes as sort of a defensive cam. He comes back. Messi is like a free roaming central cam. And Richarlison, who's like a second striker, also stays forward. Now, again, instructions will depend on which players you have and which sides or which positions you decide to play. So just use this as a rough guide and obviously implement it for your players, for your team in the most relevant way. But the main things that I would suggest, for example, for your striker, you do always want that lone striker staying central, getting in behind, staying forward. I've got conservative interceptions because I don't really need my strikers wasting stamina trying to intercept. We're not going to be pressing from the front. We're going to be obviously counter-attacking with this formation. So that is the reason for that. Same with Messi as the central sort of main attacking cam. Conservative interceptions, free roam, get into the box, stay forward. Again, same with Richarlison. And then for your defensive cam in this formation, come back on defense, although get into the box just in case, as an extra body for the offensive style. Now, this is a very effective tactic I found, but this will really depend on which players you have at your disposal. Now, I've got Militao, who starts as a centre back. However, I push him forward to CDM and I have him dropping between defenders, so he becomes like an extra centre back, and it is so OP, this tactic, because Militao has obviously great pace, great defending and almost perfect stamina. He is literally everywhere. He's constantly breaking up the play. When I'm defending, he drops in between the defence, so he becomes literally a third centre back, and it is so hard to break down. So with him, cut passing lanes, drop between defenders, cover centre, and for your other CDM, cut passing lanes as well, stay back while attacking as well, or rather stay back while attacking for him, not drop between defenders, cover centre as well. And for the right and left back, stay back, obviously default on the centre backs. Now for me, I basically put Diego Carlos, who I've just packed, but I did use Apara before as my second centre back, and I had Carvajal, who I sub on now for right back. So that is my lineup, and that's all the instructions and tactics. Now let's get into a game, and I'll try to show you guys with clips just how effective this formation is, and really you will see the key points to it and the key strengths, and if there's any weaknesses. So let's get into it. So guys, as we get into the footage of the game that I played, I was actually lucky enough to face a very high level team, as you can see. Quite similar to mine. He's also got Messi. And yeah, in this footage, you're going to see essentially a recurring sort of pattern to the game where he's attacking, I'm soaking up the pressure, and then obviously counter-attacking. So this is the start of the game. I'm trying to get some control. He's sort of sitting back as well. I'm trying to do these very nice quick passes, and I score a beautiful goal with Messi. Now, you can remember actually what I said from the start, the point where you don't want to be too deep, because for example, if you have an opponent that is also sitting back, because you're quite balanced in terms of your team depth, you can also take control of the game, have possession, and without pushing forward too much, you can also control the game. Now this is straight away the next attack. You can see how many players of mine, the defenders, they drop back very deep. They give that extra support. They basically overload the attack. They can win the ball back, and then straight away they're on the quick counter attack. You can see the quick passing, the fact that I've got quite a lot of depth and a lot of width, I should say, not depth, quite a lot of width on the wings. So I have that support, and unfortunately this move doesn't lead to a goal, but it does highlight the effectiveness of the counter attack. Again, similar thing here. I'm getting attacked. You can see that a lot of my players are coming back to basically support. I do get lucky that Oblak saved me there, because I did make a little mistake, gave him space, but again the cycle sort of continues. I win the ball back, I start a quick counter attack, use the pace in the team, try and make those quick passes, try and find space, especially when the opponent will obviously have less players in defense coming from their attack. Again, same thing here. You can see a lot of my players have dropped back to my box, but I do have that support on the wings, and I can attack once more. Some quick dribbling, quick passing, keep the attack alive, and yeah, essentially trying to do these one-touch passes. They are risky, but they are very effective, especially when you're trying to counter-attack and you're attacking very quickly in general. Now again, this doesn't lead to a goal, but it is basically gradually moving in that direction where you're basically feeling out the opponent, you're finding potential weaknesses, potential areas of their team which you can exploit. And yeah, again, as I mentioned as well, with the effectiveness of running down the wings, basically cutting it back for tap-ins, as you can see with this tactic, on the defensive side you will have a lot of support and you can block those passes coming in. Again, exactly the same pattern here. I win the ball, quick passing, and I score the second goal. As we can see as well, I'm still keeping the clean sheet against a fantastic team, very high level players, and they just simply can't get past my defense. And that is to do with obviously not being too aggressive, going too risky, but also the, I guess, the Militao effect of having that third centre back as the CDM, kind of a reverse sweeper role. And yeah, this guy basically, whatever he was trying, I always had a solution to the problem. I continuously just won the ball and then started attacking him, using those wings, using those quick passes, just utilizing dribbling, everything really. Once you get the hang of this, once you become comfortable in essentially being calm, controlling the game, defending solidly, you will demoralize your opponent. And as we can see in this case, the guy basically gave up. He knew he wasn't going to score, and we got a rage quit. So yeah guys, that is essentially just a quick insight at the tactics. Give them a try for yourself and let me know if it works for you, if you get more wins in FUT Champs hopefully. And yeah, if this video helped you out guys, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't yet. Obviously comment down below if you have any questions, any comments whatsoever. And I'll catch you soon guys. Peace.